Hi, Coach Steph here, and I'm excited to be back with you. Today, we're going to talk about confrontation. Is confrontation a bad word? Well, it's not. It's actually very healthy. But before we get started in that, I want to remind you that if you're enjoying spending time with me in this way, make sure you subscribe and you like, and you can find me at stephkelsey.com. So let's get back to our subject, confrontation. It's not a bad word. It is a really healthy thing for you to be able to talk about the things going on inside of you. But I have recognized for myself and for others that fear gets in the way of confrontation, because you maybe have had past experiences where someone's confronted you or you have confronted them, and it's kind of became a blow up. Just felt horrible, looked horrible, nothing you want to go back to again. But confrontation is not meant to be that way. A lot of times what happens with confrontation is that we wait and we build and we build and we build up on the inside of us until we can't stand it anymore, and then we confront. But we have all this buildup going on that makes it a volcano ready to explode. So I want to encourage you in this journey that fear stops us because we're afraid we'll lose friends. Fear stops us. We're afraid we're not going to articulate ourselves well. Maybe we're afraid our boss or our coworker is going to be really angry at us and we will pay a price in a different way. So with those bad experiences in the past, I want to give you some helpful tips in how to overcome your fear and have some healthy confrontation. So tip one thing at a time. Again, you might have a building of things, but if you will really hone down what's the one thing that's really hard for me right now and focus on one thing at a time. If you bring a list of things to somebody to confront them about, they're going to feel really defensive. It's going to be hard for them to sit back and to listen with an open heart. So one thing at a time. Number two, I comments and staying calm. So what does I comments mean? When you are confronting somebody else, you want to make sure that you are saying, I felt like this. This is the story I told myself when this happened. You are sharing from your perspective and understanding there's always another perspective on the other side. So stay calm is, again, if you get all worked up as this volcano ready to explode, they're going to feel that and become defensive as well. So stick to the I comments, your perspective, your side of things, and be calm. 3, practice. I say practice in a lot of my videos because practice is the key. When we think we can only step forward to do something when we have it perfect and it's going to go smashingly in our head, we won't do it. We won't step into those places of confrontation. So see it as practice. Another way to think of practice, a doctor has a practice. When you go to a doctor, you want a doctor to know what they're doing, right? Well, it's called a practice because they are practicing medicine. They are learning with each patient that comes in. In that same way, give yourself grace that you are practicing at life, you're practicing at relationships, you're practicing at confrontation. So that's a good thing. You can pat yourself on the back for that. Okay, 4, support the other person, not attack, support. So have a mindset when you're going into a confrontation that you are there to be kind and to support this person. And you're not there to attack them or make them feel like they're horrible or they've done some big thing wrong. It's a place of connecting with one another, understanding one another. And before I get to my last point, I want to share with you a little story about a time that I actually lost a friend because of confrontation. So I had this friend that we were did a lot of things with, was in ministry with, and she got to a place where all of a sudden it seemed like all communication was shutting down. Nothing that was normal was happening. So I felt like I just got cut out of her life. And I racked my brain to think, what did I do? What did I say? What could have I done different? And I then reached out to her. So her way of dealing with it was to run away from me, and I tried to come towards her. So that's what confrontation looks like. I'm coming to you. I'm not running away from you. So she runs away from me. I call her. I've texted her. I give her space. I text her again like, hey, I really want to connect. I really want to talk to you about what's going on in our friendship. And for a long time, she just did not reply. And I suppose maybe I pestered her in a way. I'm like, no, I want to understand. I'm not above knowing I might have done something wrong, and I'm happy to apologize. So finally, we got a phone call. And her answer to me was, you did nothing wrong. I just have been assessing my friendships, and I don't have time for you. Literally, that's what she said. Doesn't that make you just feel like you probably should be feeling bad for me right now? But what happened in the confrontation for me is also an understanding that if somebody else is afraid of confrontation, they won't come to me with something. Or even when I am begging, help me understand so I can apologize or make things right, there wasn't a willingness to. And so in that scenario of confrontation, I did my part, but I also realized I needed to move on. So finding those places too, where you want something to be sorted out, but at some place I had to come to peace and be really willing to just move forward. So the last point that kind of goes into the story I was just sharing is to acknowledge your part. When there's misunderstanding, when there's frustrations, there's often a part we play as well. We just have our view, so we don't always see it clearly. Take some time and think through, how have I shown up? Is there any way that I could have handled this situation better? And so when you own those things, you can start a conversation, a confrontation, with owning your part, which kind of brings the temperature of the room down and helps the other person be more humble and willing to hear what you have to say. So those are some great tips. I hope that you will find them helpful and use them. Practice, practice, practice. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, StephKelsey.com is where you can find me. Have an awesome day.